Hey everyone, I'm India, and this is Life in Style-ish. Welcome to my channel. With warm temperatures here to stay, I decided to make a decorative cover for my fireplace while it's not in use. Stick around and see how I made this cool, no-cost fireplace cover. It all started when I was looking for some DIY ideas for my next project. Scrolling online, I came across this wall fan. It's a bamboo fan from Urban Outfitters. In my basement, I grabbed a couple of bamboo screens the previous owners left behind. These screens will serve as the main foundation piece for the overall look of the fan. But yeah, so this is it. I'm gonna have to wash my hands because it's pretty filthy and I did not bring gloves. So yeah, so that's it. And it's pretty long, so I should be able to work with it. And looking at the pattern here, should be able to work with this. Yeah, that's gonna be cool. So there's one piece and there's at least one more piece over there. After I grab some gloves, I go ahead and pull out the second screen and lay it out with the first one there on the floor. So here I'm just checking to make sure there's no major broken pieces and that it's pretty well intact. Let me show you how far I've gotten. I went ahead and took them up from the ground after rinsing them off and everything. And so I'm hanging them up to dry, so let me show that to you. But yeah, so I have them both hanging up here and they're drying off. I'm thinking I should probably go ahead and cut them now while they're wet. So they're probably more pliable than waiting until after they've dried and they get a little bit more stiff. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna leave the ribbon on for now because that's gonna help keep it together while I cut it across here. So that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm about to do now. In order to achieve the shape I'm going for, I need to cut the screens down. Here I'm measuring the screens to locate the center, and I'll mark that to cut later. Went ahead and marked out halfway where I want to cut them, so I already know where they're going to be cut. It's just going to be halfway because they're 84 inches. They're 84 inches long, and that's going to be that's way too long. So I'm just going to cut them in half. So they'll be 42 inches across. And then once I do kind of the accordion style, they should be fine. I just used plain garden shears that I had around the garage to cut the bamboo pieces. And it worked really, really well. The pieces didn't cut very cleanly, but it got the job done. I was able to cut through pretty well. They worked really, really well for this job. Once inside the house and I get all the pieces inside, I go ahead and I start cutting the thread off of the perimeter of the screens. I have this little edge piece here where the thread is messed up. It's not looking so great. So what I decided to do was go ahead and just take a big section of the other panel and I'm going to flip it over and then just hot glue it all the way down. But first I need to cut all these all the way down, cut those grommets off, and cut down the other screens as well. So I'm going to be doing that first. I take the pieces back out to the garage and I'm going to use my jigsaw to cut them. So I'm just marking out a line across the first screen, and this is just one, and then I use the clamps and a piece of wood to keep it stable so it won't move around. because the screen is so light. I needed some sort of weight in order to keep the screen in place while I cut it. I'm arranging the panels to hot glue the seams together so I can then shape the fan. To secure the sections of the fan and help keep its shape, I'm using a combination of wire and clear thread. This is the wire here. It's a flexible gold wire, usually used with jewelry making, but it should do the trick as far as keeping all the panels secure. The sections that I'm gathering are pretty heavy, so I'm just putting the wire through each of the folded panels together and then string them all the way through. As you can see that I'm taking them through each piece, and that's what I'm just going to go all the way through and then tie it to secure each of those larger sections all the way together. And then I'm going to tie them all once I start actually creating the fan shape. I also needed to create a support piece to keep the fan completely out in its current form or its current shape there. And in order to do that, I had to use a long piece of wood as a support, just to have something for the fan to stay fanned out and hold on to and still be supported and everything. So I used the clear thread and just ran knots all the way down. It was just a scrap piece of wood that I found in the garage. And so yeah, I used just kind of wrapped it around. This is the back, so you won't actually see any of this. So this is the wire here. As you can see, I secured all the individual sections and then secured all the sections to each other. So just creating, just using as much wire as I felt like I needed to make sure that it was going to stay secure and all together. And then that's the clear thread there. So just use that clear thread, and it's really flexible, so strong and it's stretchy. So yeah, I can go ahead and make like a bunch of little knots, and that helps keep the piece of wood secure. Because I didn't want to use more of the wire, and I felt like this was a little more flexible and it was going to be more durable than say hot glue. So yeah, this went on really, really well. And yeah, so next is just getting it set up, and I'm going to go ahead and do that next. Just to make sure that there weren't any issues with it, I went ahead and turned it upside down, or I'm sorry, I turned it right side up. Flipped it back over just to make sure that it would still maintain its shape, that it still looks exactly how I wanted it to look. I don't like the raw edge kind of in the middle part, but it's fine. Yeah, I went ahead and put a couple of candles there, and I covered up that middle part that is supposed to be kind of a C shape, but it kind of collapsed on me. So I just went ahead and went with this this look here, but I think it looks okay. I really, really like it. I like how it turned out. I have some fairy lights that we kind of used at Christmas time, and I put those on top. Because it's such a big piece, I probably should use like some Christmas lights or something like that, but all of our Christmas stuff is put away, but it's fine. I actually like how it looks. So we have a couple of fans here. There's a fan here, and then there's a fan here that we actually already had on either side of the fireplace. So when I was looking at it all together, I felt like it actually looked really, really nice. And I felt like it was a nice compliment having each of the fans on either side. Almost, it was kind of a happy accident because I hadn't actually planned on, I didn't even remember, that those fans were there. But when I looked, I was like, oh, this actually looks really, really nice. So yeah, I just added a couple of little candles there. But yeah, I unfortunately, I did feel like it was a little plain. So the next morning, when I got up, I kind of saw it in different light. So this is actually with natural sunlight coming through the windows. And I think it looks really, really pretty here. But what I ended up doing, as you can see, is I added a couple of sprigs of flowers, the red flowers there. And then I had some peacock feathers that, I just kind of put away in a closet. We had used it to decorate, I think like a couple years ago. So they were just sitting around. So yeah, I just grabbed those and kind of stuck them in between the folds of the fan. And then I put the kind of arrange the flowers so it has kind of a 3D effect with the flowers. They're kind of coming out of the fan itself. So it adds a little bit of little texture, a little bit of the 3D effect, and I love the color that it adds. It adds a little pop of color, and I just really love how this turned out. Like I said, I would love to get some extra fairy lights, just so a longer string of lights. I think that would look really nice. And then I added, so just kind of a close-up of the blue peacock feathers. Yeah, and they're natural feathers. They look really, really good. I ended up, the final look, this is actually the final look here, where I added those little kind of curly Q wooden pieces there, those little reed pieces there. They're kind of a greenish color. And then I added a little sprig of white flowers there at the bottom with the wood. So yeah, this is actually the final look, and I turned on the fairy lights. Even though it's daytime, I still feel like it looks really nice. So yeah, this will be here since it's springtime. I wanted to go ahead and put a little extra color up, and I love how this looks. Hopefully you guys like it. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment in the comment section and let me know what things that you guys are working on now that spring has finally arrived. But yeah, that is it for me. Thanks guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe and follow me on social media at Life in Style-ish on all social platforms, and I'll see you next week. Bye.